This is another one of my favorite feature, pattern matching for instance of. And with this, so it's in the second preview in Java 15. And this really simplifies how you work with the instance of operator. Till now, we all use instance of operator. And this feature adds pattern matching to instance of operator so that you don't have to kind of first test whether my variable is of a certain type and then cast it to that type. What would you do after you kind of compare those values? The obvious next step is to cast it, but probably this was not so obvious earlier, but now it is. Right, so let me go to my IDE and let me see what do we have here. Okay, so let me go to this method. So this is pattern matching for instance of, I think we are going towards the, why do I keep forgetting the shortcuts to increase or decrease the window size? Because I don't use that so often. Right. Okay, so let me say, let me type in an example, what I want to do here. Yes, I talk about this method parameter and let me check if this method parameter is of type string. I say if object is instance of, I say string, then what do I want to do? Let's say I just want to print the same value. No, I can't do that. I, I, I have to define another variable, like let's say a value, and then I cast this object to string, and then I say, let's print out the value of this variable. Let's say to uppercase. Perfect. Now, what are we doing here? First, we're comparing uh, the parameter object to the type string. And of course, if it matches, then I cast it to a type string. I define another variable, which is eval, and then I call a method on eval. This is not required with the pattern matching for instance of. What I could do is I could introduce a pattern variable so that I get rid of the obvious repetition here of casting, of defining another variable. So there are two things, casting and defining another new variable. And if you're using IntelliJ IDEA, you can see that this is highlighted using a yellow background, which means that IntelliJ IDEA has a suggestion for you. So you can, to view that suggestion, you can use Alt and Enter. Whenever in doubt, use Alt and Enter with IntelliJ IDEA. Right, so it says you can replace eval with pattern variable, and this is the pattern variable which has been introduced with the instance of operator right where you compare it. So I don't need to use another, I don't need another casting, and I don't need the declaration of the variable there. Perfect. This might sound simple or very obvious to you, or probably not a big thing for you. Depending on the example that you see, you could say yes, but let me hop on to the other example, which would kind of give you a more, a bigger picture of how this could help. So this is one of the examples which I have, and this is how we are used to writing the equals method. So I check whether the method parameter is of a certain type. Then I create another method. I cast it to the type I compared it with. I know it's funny, but we have to do that. And then, of course, I compare the individual fields of the method parameter and the object itself. Let's see how pattern matching for instance of can help us to make this code concise, but still everyone. So this, the features that are introduced in Java, I absolutely love them because they are not trying to make the language terse. It is still the code that you see, the modifications that they bring, they keep the code still readable. which is great. So let's replace other with a pattern variable, and I could also, so you can see that there are two consecutive if statements here, and I can go back here and I can say alt and enter, and I can say merge nested ifs. Now I have merged those is if statements, which was made possible because I'm using a pattern variable here. Otherwise, it would not have been possible. So let's say what other suggestion I have. I have is simplify if else. Now, do you see the difference between the code that we had earlier and the code that we have now? With just a single line of code, I am able to express what I was expressing with the, let's say, 4 to 5 lines of code. If you still think that this is not a good enough feature, let me show you another example. I think you would really like that one. So let me go to the other example. And this is again a good example to demonstrate how pattern matching for instance of can help. Right. So now let me go after the yellow backgrounds, which are highlighted by intelligent idea. Uh, just a moment. Yes. Now let me, okay, let me go here and replace child nodes with pattern variable. Right. Now I can go here and I can say merge the nested if statements. Now, what else? I can go here and I can say that I want to inline the variable node, and I can select node and I can say Control Alt N, which is on Windows, and it's Option Command N for Mac. I can't just remember all those shortcuts. You would be able to see them at the bottom of my screen. So it says refactor. Yes, I want to do that. Now I can replace this with a pattern variable. I still have one more if statement which I can merge. Does that look much better to you now? Do you realize the? I think this example would make you realize the difference that these small language changes can bring to your code base. And I'm talking about the features which you would be using every day, literally. So here's your code with less lines of code which are still readable. I like it. Do you? Now, let me go to my demo, no, my presentation. Okay, so we are on to the last language feature which has been added in Java 15, which is text blocks. And this has been added as a standard language feature now. It was introduced as a preview language feature in Java 13. So let's see what this feature is about. Okay, so now let me go back to my to my IDE and see what we have for text blocks. Oh my God, I don't have any code. That is okay. So let me define it. So what is the problem? Okay, so the problem that text blocks is trying to solve is it is making it easier for you to write multi-line string values without the need of having those concatenation operator or the escape sequences, which really make it hard for us to read long multi-line string values. So let me start with a simple, a short string. And I really like to kind of compare that with a small child. How many of you have kids? Or even if you don't have kids, you should have seen neighbors' kids. Do you like the kids when they're small? Ah, they're so cute. They really can't, they're not pain in the, I don't want to say that. They're really not a lot of pain. They're so cute. They usually do what you tell them to do. You just feed them and put them off to sleep. That's so nice. So let's say I am just a little kid. So this is looking cute, just a simple line of text, a string value which is easy to read. Let's see what happens when it grows up. It says, now I am a toddler and you can see me running here and there. Can you see the problem? We already have a lot of text in this string, and this is kind of getting a little not so easier to read. Now I am a preteen. So my younger daughter is a preteen. Ah, I know she's cute and she's nice, but she is a rebellion. And it's not easy to kind of figure out what she's thinking. And it's not easy to read her mind the way I cannot read the string now. Now, what happens when your kid wants to learn a new language? Let's find an example which is written in other language. Wow. So here we have, let's say, a JSON value. Can I use this value and let's say, okay, wow, this looks nice. Uh, yes. Now I cannot read this value at all because I need to have the escape sequences so that I can escape the double quotes, which I want to be a part of the string. And this could happen for values like JSON. This could happen for your string values. Let's say I had other examples. It could happen for your HTML text where you want. So there would be a lot of places where you want where you would like to store values like HTML, JSON, your HTML SQL query, sorry, or probably just let's say code written in Java or some other language. Could be JavaScript. I don't know, in any language that you want to store and you want to move that around. What happens when you actually define all those values as string in Java? It is quite difficult to do so because the strings are no longer readable. What can you do? Can you just have a magic wand and you could say, oh my God, can I not do that? Not a good idea to be using EAP right before your presentation. I keep telling that to me, and every time I do that, I should stop doing that. So with 2020.2, let me quickly pull that out if I could start that. So IntelliJ IDEA 2020.2, right? So this is, so let me see if I could show that to you by bringing another older instance of IntelliJ IDEA. Should be up in just a moment. Yes, yes. It's taking a lot more time because I am sharing my screen using the Zoom webinar. Otherwise, it's quite much faster, right? So it's loading the components, which is great. Now it's opening an old project, but that's okay. I can pull up the other project that I was working on. Let me say, okay. So it would do some bits of loading before it can actually, okay, so manage projects and that is not good. Where is my project? Oh my God, okay. Why can I not see my project? Open recent, okay, so this is, oh no. Okay, so let me go back to this and let me create, because In the stable version, I have an intention in IntelliJ IDEA where I can just click on the, oh my God, I have it here. That was so stupid of me. So what I can do is by using, so I could see that this is in a dark yellow background. I know IntelliJ has some suggestions for me. I can use Alt and Enter and see what the suggestions are. And I can replace it with the text block and see this is much more readable now, running here and there, and see. And of course, this was a bit out of the formatting because I did not define how the trailing spaces should have been used. Now, this brings me to the next point, which is the incidental white space. How would you like the text blocks to kind of take this space? Should that be a part of your string value or should that not be? So if you can see a vertical green line here, this shows how your incidental spaces